But a woman just said, Shamika, you're going to blow this. So they said something about the CIA and something about probably the ideas. They said, at one point, they said, I'm the only one in this circle, meaning out of the people they involved, that has the ideas, had the work experience. So they're admitting they involved me with people, which is what I've been saying all along, that didn't have the same, not just work experience, but didn't have the same life experiences that I've had. And this was their way of creating me as the face of this group. And they would have them create these dreams and create these things, make it seem like we were always together. And they said they intentionally involved me with people who they knew in real life I wouldn't get along with. So I'm going to take that apart. I'm going to pause for a second and then take this apart so you guys can hear what's going on. So what they're admitting to is what I've been saying from the beginning. I wasn't associated with any of the people here. They said that I live in a building where across the way, it's like a pathway and there's grass and stuff. Across the way is another building. And then my building is directly across from the other building. And on the other side, there's another like grassy area, and then there's another building all the way across. So meaning my building isn't close to other buildings. So it wouldn't be possible it's not like the buildings are really close together where it would be possible that it would be someone else other than in this building that's involved. If you put people involved across the way, there's such a big distance. So it would have to be something going on in this building. And they said, now say you were here for over 28 years. They just said that. And so when they're talking about involving me with people, it's very hard to, because it's not like this building isn't closely surrounded by other buildings. And it wouldn't be like all of a sudden I go out of the building and I run into someone who isn't in my building. It's usually if you run into someone, it's someone in your building. So when they were talking about something about across the way, they said, I would look out my window and they would talk about someone who lived across the way. I don't usually look out this side of my building, because the windows aren't like big, or, it's not like this. It's not like this. They're saying every time I would look out this building at the other building, which is across this pathway with the grass, it would say someone's name who lived in that building. I really don't look out that window a lot. And I'm wondering when they said they did this or why they said they did this. So when I'm telling you about just giving you an idea of where these buildings are and how these buildings are placed, it wouldn't be like I would be looking out of the window and I would hear somebody say something like that. I didn't. But it would also mean that I would know it can't be coming from that person across the way because it's too far away, that it had to be something in this building. Either someone in the building, something that these people wired in the building. But to tell you something strange, I was walking one day outside in front of the other building, and I heard a female Latina voice yell something out of the window, and it was in reference to me because she said my name. And that's how much these people have poisoned my life. So absolute strangers, not people who saw my YouTube channel, because I even have a post I created and something that I sent saying that as soon as I started going on this YouTube channel, I didn't have my name on it. it was Copper Jar Productions, and they recently said, "Oh, I'm going to change the name of this channel back to Copper Jar Productions away from Shamega Johnson." Immediately, I started getting all these comments. They were like, "I love you," all this weird stuff. Meaning, all of a sudden, it was like a scam had already started around me, and when they poisoned everyone against me, it's because, like the woman said when I started this video, you're not going to ruin this for everyone. They said this was a way that they were going to move people who didn't have the money to pay the rent to create a rent strike around me. Again, another scam. Then the scam was we're going to all connect to each other on YouTube, watch each other's videos. Impossible. First of all, if you're going through this, you know how impossible it is to do that. The second part is you're creating your own videos. So the second scam was, oh, we'll all just sit around like a Ponzi scheme. The Ponzi scheme, and they got angry. I talked about Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme. They get angry when I say that because they know they're scammers. So with the Ponzi scheme, someone on top is going to make the money. With a pyramid scheme, nobody really is going to make any money because we just all be watching videos, not creating our own videos, trying to live life and do regular things. It was impossible. So the next scam they came up with was they're going to make it a medical scam where I'm not going to report to you. Someone said, damn, I'm not going to report to you the real effects of this. So they said that it's impossible for everyone to have the same effect, but there are a few of us who are being affected by this technology the same. So in a article, it says somebody wanted for the Freedom of Information Act information from the government about, I think, a Washington State fusion center. And in the packet they received, it said that there was a zip file that said EM effects on human body. And it included some information about the 1992 lawsuit against the NSA filed by John Sinclair Ackley. And what I'm saying is this: they knew all along that this was going to affect me. They knew EMF has negative effects on the human body. They admitted that all the buildings in New York that are Wi-Fi have the ability to do this, not just to find where you are, meaning spy on you, surveillance, but also they're connecting it now with the EMF. So these are things that if everyone in the public knew, EMF is dangerous. People have been talking about it for a long time. It's not something that people are just talking about. If everyone in the public knew, Wi-Fi can allow people to surveil you in the privacy of your own home. If everyone knew surveillance technology is being used to listen to you, and if they catch you doing something that they don't like, they can talk to you in your home. Then it would be no longer people hearing voices. It would also be people who have the ability, they said sextortion, extortion, and blackmail. But the next thing, if everyone knew, is if you put all of that together and you weren't doing anything wrong, I wasn't doing anything wrong, they can then blackmail you by saying that we have this information and we're going to release it. And when you say in a video, I said out loud, release the tapes then, release it. And they didn't. They recreated what they heard, and I was able to dispute it. That if everyone knew that these were the big deals that happened to me during this time, then they would completely call every form of law enforcement and arrest everyone involved in this. Every single person should have been arrested. There were no nastiness going on with me that they claimed. There was no crime committed. And when they apologized, like the predators, they're predators who prey on people. They said this was supposed to keep me so sick that they would have eventually a custodianship or move me into some sort of like assisted living. I don't need assisted living. I just need them to stop this. So when they're talking, you can see how they've manipulated people. They got some people to admit to stuff that shouldn't be admitted in this way ever. They got other people to lie on people. This was how it started. And in the beginning, when they started this has been going on for years this way. I said, they're going to get you. And they argued about the word I used. I said, it's entrapment, because they're going to put these things out loud because I don't have any special way of hearing it. So they convinced some people that I could hear it in my head. That technology doesn't exist. You can hear noises, sounds, and maybe a word in this fray effect microwave hearing, which is real. It's completely real. But they convinced them that they could have these big conversations, and they used systems that said it out loud. So in the beginning, and I have a video, I hope I can find it, I said, don't talk on the system. It's out loud. Don't talk on the system. They're trying to entrap you. They're going to make you, I said, they're going to make you something yourself. And they were, whatever word I said, they said the opposite. So I said, hang up now if you're on this system. And some people did hang up. The difference was implicate or incriminate. And I said one word and they said it was the opposite word. And the reason they got it wrong, because we had to argue about that, is when you're talking about yourself, meaning one thing you do to someone else, the other thing you do to yourself. So it turns out someone said the people doing it got people to admit to stuff and do that word to them, to other people. And if you did it to yourself, then you so and so. Meaning they said they needed a lot of people involved so that you can't arrest everyone. And the example they used, when I was in the living room, I was watching a news report and a guy was giving out something that was stolen. And they said, see, we put it on the news to show that if you're doing it publicly, you can't get arrested for it. Of course, later the news report followed up and said the guy was arrested for it. Meaning if you do something out loud, even if you have a lot of people doing it, it's still a crime. It doesn't become legal if you do it on camera with a lot of people. It's still a crime. But this is how they created. So someone said something just now, a female voice. This is how they created this mind game, this scam on people, that publicly doing something with a lot of people won't get you arrested. They figured, like, how could they arrest everyone? Easy they can. But that goes to show that the people who are running this are trying to get people involved in doing the wrong thing. Years ago, they said this was how this was supposed to work on me as a child. They said years ago when I was a very little girl, so they're talking about the 80s, I was around people who they felt were doing the wrong things. These people never got arrested. They were never doing the wrong things. They felt, you hear the words, they felt were doing the wrong things. Meaning it's not what they are looking at a law book. They're not lawyers. They're not professionals. They felt. So what they're saying is they thought I would automatically grow up and do the wrong thing. But to make sure it would happen, they tried to keep doing things to me that would cause me to do the wrong thing. And they said, say they used the 1991 thing as an example. Exactly. So meaning if I don't tell something that is bad, then they would blackmail me and say, well, you could have told and this could have been prevented. Meaning that's how they think. It's about entrapment. And that's a real thing. How these people can put you in a situation to entrap you. So if I didn't tell the world this was happening to me, I have a few videos where they said, you didn't tell, you committed a crime, it was wrong. I told. They said that wasn't the year they said a different year. It's not in my head clearly. If I could hear it clearly in my head, I wouldn't get the things wrong. This is partly what I'm explaining to them. You're proving this is live. I'm recording this live. You're proving live that I'm not getting special voices directly into my head. I'm listening to people either talking out. Sometimes they're using the heat thing. I don't want to call it a microwave technology, but it's a heat technology. And they even noticed that when they don't use the microwave technology and they don't use the little thing that runs, makes the crackling sound, I feel better. So now I'm getting sick again because it doesn't last, but it's better than being sick all the time. So the other part about someone just yells something out. They said, why do I have to say it's Latino? It's important that everyone knows the groups involved. It's definitely something, it uses Israeli technology. They said they're Jewish. And part of how I knew they were Jewish is all of a sudden, like the things they started talking about were things that I wouldn't know, like a regular American wouldn't know, like certain things that apply to not just religion, but Jewish people. Like I said something at one point and I was like the final solution. They were like, oh my God, don't say that. I never thought of it like that. It wasn't any relation to the Holocaust. It was just like, you try many things and it's the final solution. This is the last thing I'm going to try, the last solution. Meaning these are things that all of a sudden offended them. Something else happened. In 2016, I think it was, they talked out loud and they used something really derogatory against Jewish people. Something that most people growing up, we never heard of, but I knew it in relation to the Holocaust. And I said, don't say that. Don't say that. I said, they said a really bad word. And later on, the Jewish people involved in this thanked me for saying it. And they even admitted, that's when they knew I wasn't an anti-Semite. I'm not anti-Jewish. But what I'm saying is, if you're doing this to me and you are that faith, you're making it look like I am an anti-Semitic person or an anti-Latino person or a racist person. Suddenly, I can't even identify the people who I know are involved as their race. Why can't I? They said, well, in the media, I'm not in the media. I'm a regular victim. A victim can identify their race. So later on, when they were arguing, they were talking and so forth, someone used the F word for gay people. So one time, in order to trap all of this and record them, I used the F word for gay people. They got so offended. I said, you used to use it all the time. Meaning it's not in my head. You can't offend people in your apartment without recording, without putting online. This is way before the recordings and online. If it's your head, it's clearly with someone else talking. And so when they said something just now, and so when they entrapped themselves and each other, it became, wait a minute, now we got to find a way to punish her. That's when the punishment of me started in that way. So they could, if they could make me say I'm anti-Latino, everyone knows I'm not. I don't even have to go into that. If they can say I'm anti-gay, everyone knows I'm not. I don't have to go into that. If they can say I'm anti-Jewish, everyone knows I don't have to go into that. I'm not. I'm not any of those antis. I'm not an anti-Semite. These things never occurred to me. This is what I'm trying to explain to them. I'm a 52-year-old Black woman from the Bronx. My thoughts would not be about the Holocaust. I mean, for obvious reasons. My thoughts would not be about, being anti-Black people in the way that the people who are talking about Black people are. My thoughts would not have been, like they said at one point, they were trying to teach me about how certain things are anti-Black for Southern people and the references. That wouldn't be my life experience. And that's part of it. They were putting all of these life experiences on me in such a short amount of time. Like, that doesn't make sense. They said many years ago, they just said this about eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a piggy by the toe. That when I was a kid, because they're saying many years ago, I didn't know that was anti-Black. I wouldn't know. Like I said, like some of the things they're talking about, they said many other people didn't know that. That's my point. Like these aren't my thoughts. So when they were trying to fake that I'm going through a mental problem and the woman says, you're not going to ruin this for us. You ruined it for yourself. Stop blaming me for your problems. It's like all of a sudden, they said, there it is. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to be like the magical black person who is going to solve this, do that, and still maintain her life while going through this. Or I'm going to become a mentally ill person who has to be put into something, an adult assisted living, because they're making things fall apart in my life. They said, there it is. It's like, it's one thing or another with them. I told you they only give me two choices. So in their minds, that if something happened when I was a kid and someone had to say, you know, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a piggy by the toe is racist. Oh, okay. Just like they said, this is just like the niggardly thing, meaning like, who knows? Who would know this? But this is what they're telling me. This is what they're talking about. And it's not being anti any group. It's letting other victims out there know the difference between voices in your head, which could be schizophrenia, and this. This is not schizophrenia. There was something else I wanted to talk to you guys about. They said, this is why we don't include her with these type of things. Thank you. Finally, somebody is explaining to people who thought they could turn me into a different type of person. They said, when I talked about, I was going to be a lawyer, and they said, oh, I didn't like criminals. I don't like criminals. I don't. So they're trying to twist that into, they said, this is the crime of the century. It is. So would you think by victimizing me, I would suddenly like criminals? No. By victimizing me, I would dislike criminals. And so they were like, well, here's this, here's that, trying to convince me that they aren't criminals. They are. If you set people up to commit a crime or to do the wrong thing, and they just said, that goes back to why I didn't go to just any disability lawyer. It was a setup from day one for me. They were out to get me. And that is not, to me, about me being a criminal. It's about their ability to make me look like I intentionally did something wrong. So when they started like going over these little teeny tiny things that weren't wrong, over time, I just got so angry. And I'm like, what is this technology? Why are they lying on me? And I put these videos out there, and I can look back at the videos and say, the technology caused so much of this. So when they want to make it seem like, oh, we just put speaker systems in, bad enough. Listening devices and speaker systems in, and that's bad enough. But look at the article Yahoo put out. EMF effects on the human body. They knew this technology would have these effects and make me sick. That they don't want to talk about. They want to talk about all these other little things and how I would be ruining it for people. I don't think so. They said, what does that have to do with mass incarceration? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing to do with mass incarceration. But what they're trying to take the attention off is that they did this to people knowing that this has a negative effect on people, knowing that they were making people sick. But how do we make money off that? That's what the thought process is. They hate when I talk about the idea that this was about making money. So it went quickly from them committing the crime to now, how do we bring her into a crime that I can't be involved in? I'm the only person who doesn't have the telephone number. They said they use this a way of calling into this calling system. I don't have it. I'm the only one who doesn't have a speaker system. They said, oh, they thought I was going to go out and spy on my neighbors, like get some sort of devices. But I'm not going to do that. Like, why would I then spy on other people? They said, wait, they just said something else. They said that something exactly why. This is exactly why, something like that they were saying. they said they used to make it look like I was just talking to myself. So they said they're very smart. They warned me. They said they are very smart, and they're going to trick me into saying things on this that I don't want to say and bringing up things. Well, this is the problem. The problem is with the surveillance, everything I do is out loud, and they repeat it, and they broadcast it. So I don't have any privacy. So over time, between that happening for years now, and them talking to me, I would say the wrong things. And they said, someone just said, and you would have said it by now. And that's my point. It's not, for them, it's like, we can do this to you, and people will automatically think if you say something, you're this or you're that. You're anti this, you're anti that, you're this type of person. No, people will say the same thing I'm saying. You mean I'm in the privacy of my home? I can't say anything. I can't do anything. They mess up my internet service, so I can't use it. They hack everything. They change things. Like I put things in keep notes to organize it. They mess that up. They glitch everything. They talk in the background. And I'm supposed to be perfect. I'm supposed to be able to go through a major medical issue, prove that I'm not schizophrenic and perfect at the same time. Impossible. When they said talk about Wendy Williams, and I'm trying to talk about every single person they mentioned who went through something difficult. It's hard for me to remember, but now I do want to talk about Wendy Williams. Before whatever happened in the Wendy Williams situation happened, they used to say the name Wendy. And I'm like, I used to work with a woman named Wendy at Saks. So when they're saying that, I'm like, why are they talking about that? That was years ago. So when I found out, I saw, I think, a news report, and it talked about Wendy Williams. It didn't connect. From my brain, it didn't connect. And they did this to her. And I'm like, how is that possible? She'll be, getting out. She's famous. In my brain, a famous person doesn't experience these types of things. So then someone said, talk about the conservatorship. So around the same time that I was going through this, they mentioned the I did a video, conservatorship, guardianship. I started on line, I think it was on Twitter, talking to other people about how they're putting victims into conservatorships and guardianships without their consent, without their family's consent, meaning like, it's not just you take somebody out of their lives and plop them in a conservatorship and guardianship, but you don't even get permission from their family. So there was a big case. There's a law in New York that says it's illegal. So at the time, this is before I connected it to Wendy Williams, I passed around this article. Someone just said, didn't somebody say they could possibly do that to you? Exactly. Even the voices said it. I call them still the voices, but we know it's just people talking now. Even the people talking said they were going to do it to me. And I took it literally like me. So when they did it to Wendy Williams, I'm like, well, clearly she was going to be able to be free. She'll get her freedom because the people talking and everyone on the internet prior to it happening to Wendy Williams was talking about how it can't, that they can do that to you. Okay, it was reconnecting, so now it's back. So before Twitter, at the time, we were talking about it amongst ourselves, that it's not about Wendy, but it's possible to do it. I did a whole video saying I don't need a conservatorship or guardianship. And then once they did that to Wendy Williams, they stopped using the name Wendy, which is part of what I'm saying. Like, for me, I'm thinking, I'm hearing them talk about someone. If it was a name similar to the names that I knew, they would say it and it was directed towards me. So it wasn't like I would think Wendy Williams. I would just think, and they directed the stories. They started these stories towards me. So they just said they miswired the voices. They gave me like a master voice thing, meaning probably like I hear multiple people's situations. I don't know. I don't know. So once they did that to Wendy Williams, they stopped saying Wendy. And I'm like, well, let Wendy out. I mean, we have proof that this was happening, and you're not supposed to just take people and put them into conservatorship guardianships without people's, other people who are around that person. The family has no control. They have no control. Who gave them the right to do these things? But another part of that issue is, oh man, I just forgot. They said something, I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say. So I thought, oh, Wendy will definitely come home because it's not in her best interest to be locked up in, it's stressful. I'm stressed out. Like, look at what they did. So the other person who they talked about before it happened, so that was Wendy Williams. They talked about that. There was someone else that before something happened to them, they talked about. So this is not just one person. This is talking about people. And you can tell there would have been enough time if we had known, and not trying to make me look like I'm schizophrenic, for me to have said something to the public, but I was too afraid. Like, what are they going to do to that person? What will happen? There are so many examples of that. And just going back to who gave these people the right to do this? I'm trying to remember something else. I can't remember. It's hard to remember because, again, this is more than one person talking. Years ago, when they said when I was a kid, I heard the voices, and they said they did a dream where they would remind me that I heard the voices. And they said I was looking around as a child for where it was coming from, meaning I knew it wasn't in my head. Someone just said, remind them that in New York, it's very common for people to say, I heard a little voice say, meaning we never think we're schizophrenic. We never think it's us. We think it's something like someone said, like a guardian angel just now. Someone said a guardian angel or like God. That's why they call it voice of God technology. This is what I'm explaining in every video. You aren't supposed to question it and think it's just some crazy person that you knew when you were a kid doing it to you. You're supposed to think that something up high is protecting you. You're supposed to think it's like the voice of God. Someone said a guardian angel. It's like a knowing thing that's telling you a little something. And you are supposed to trust it. And I'm saying don't trust it. Never trust it. It's just regular people. And this is happening in New York. People are saying it's happening throughout the world. I don't know how, in terms of when you're in different places. What I'm guessing is there are people who sit around and create these voices for particular people. I've never heard of what they're explaining, like it was in my high school and everyone could hear it. Because in my high school, there would have been people who mentioned it. And I'm still trying to get somebody who is familiar with this. Someone just said they carry, it's like a little speaker, and they put it on for particular people, and I was one of the people. Who are they? Who did it? They said I sound like an owl. I'm glad. Who? That's part of what I'm saying. Like, as we're getting closer to this, if this is about getting people into trouble and certain people, I need to know more. They said, oh, I just said I need. Yes, I do need to know more because they really did. They really did suggest all of these horrible things. They really did say these things before they happened. And when I'm looking at it happening and I can refer back to a video, I don't think I mentioned in the video anything else about that. But we definitely talked about it on Twitter as people who were going through this. And it was around the same time. So I can refer back. You know how I do that. Now I have to go back to past videos and show you. Who allowed this to happen to people? They said this is too explosive to put this all in one video. That's what they just said. It's too explosive to experience it. And when all of us are experiencing and we're so confused, trying to connect things, there's they just talked about something about EMF, and I don't want to go into EMF right now. They bring, see, this is how they are. There's someone plays the devil. Yes, someone does. They keep talking about something that's completely legal and trying to twist it and time it to play the devil. That's the other part. They said, talk about who plays the devil. I'm not going to get into that right now because this is going off topic. But on topic is talking about how people are setting people up. It's a setup. Don't use this system. They got angry because I got angry when they started letting everyone start to talk to me. It's making it worse. It's not making it better. Maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe these people wanted to make it worse. If you have all these people talking at once and talking to me, I wasn't sleeping. I was getting angry, and it means that's their way of saying, oh, it means if we're all doing it, then you won't get upset. That's what they said to me. Wrong. Someone said that would make me even more upset, and it's more confusing. So suddenly now the voice of God is like multiple people talking, arguing. This shouldn't exist. It's a scam. It's supposed to make victims think they're schizophrenic. It's supposed to enable the criminal doctors out there. Again, this is why I don't like criminals. There are criminal doctors to say you have to go into some sort of psychiatric something because you're mentally ill. Who could do that? Like, I, as a victim, can't even not tell people this is happening. As a doctor, you have you signed, I forgot, they said Hippocratic Oath. Thank you. Hippocratic Oath. You're not supposed to hurt people. How could you do this to people? So just before I end this live, I just want to say one thing. If you're in New York, which is different, I can't explain why it's different in New York than other places. People say that all the time, like, oh, I heard a little voice say, oh, a little something told me. That's the other phrase. A little something told me. And nobody ever questions it. We're like, oh, yeah, what did it say? We didn't know that it was like this. Thank you guys for listening. I'm going to find that video about the custodianship and put it in the description.